Hello and welcome to Crafternoon. I am Miss Mary and I'm here at the Pacific Grove Public Library, and today we are going to be making or crafting paper plate weaving. It's actually going to make a coaster. So I have started. I have my paper plate, I have my yarn, and I've started, and you can see that I'm right at the point where I'm going to be changing colors. So that's something fun to do, going from purple to blue. And then at the end, it's going to be a coaster. So I've got some weaving to do, but I'll show you how I got started. So you'll need a paper plate and scissors. Oops. Did you hear my scissors? There's my scissors. And of course, you'll need yarn. Now, if you were here for the paper cup weaving, you remember that it requires an odd number, okay? So you're going to take your paper plate. You'll notice this is much bigger than this one. And you want to make sure that you divide it so that they're actually an odd number. I was just going to say 13 because that's the number we're going to use. So it needs to be an odd number. It doesn't have to be 13, but that is a good number. So to do that, we need to make sure that it's pretty even around. And to do that, I'm going to think about the clock, right? 12 at the top and then 1, and I'm going to make little marks with a pen, and then I'll cut it. So I'm going to start doing that so you can watch what I'm doing. Now this is the front. I need to turn it over because I don't want to be able to see my marks. And I'm going to start, like I said, with the top part, which is the 12, right? And then I'm going to go as if it was a 3 and the 6 and then the 9, and then I'm going to kind of fill in so that I have the 1 and the 2, and I'm just going to kind of go around like that, and I'm just going to continue to make those marks. And I've got that and that and that. So now I have all of my marks. I have 12, but remember, I said I need 13. So I'm going to add an extra 1, and this looks like a good spot to make it. My next step is to cut, and I'm going to cut about a 1/2 inch on every mark that I made. So I'll cut, and I'll cut, and I'll just go around and cut all of those little marks. Remember, this is the back, so you won't be able to see the marks. You'll just see the cuts. And I'm going to continue going around. And you can, as you're going around, you can count to make sure you have an odd number. This is a 1/2 inch cut. Okay, so I've got all of my cuts. There's my front. You can see no pen mark. And then I take my yarn. I'll use the purple yarn for this. And what I'm going to do is take about 18 inches. And then I'll cut it, but I want to double check to make sure that's going to be enough. So I start it like this. This is the back side, remember, and I kind of hold it down with my finger, and I'm going to start pretending like it's the clock, and I'm going to go directly across, right? And instead of going around the back, I'm just going to go right next to it and slide it through, okay? And I'm going to go around the front to the opposite end, right? And then I'm going to go and kind of turn, cross it in front, just like that, to the opposite side. And then I go around the back, cross in front again. I'm going to go in back, just like that. I'm going to cross in front, just like that. Go in back, cross in front directly to the other side. And now you'll notice, well, I've come to a place where it's duplicating. So I need to go right across because I need that odd number like that. Okay, so now you'll notice it's a little bit uncentered, and that's okay. we'll fix that in just a minute. So I have my yarn. I'm going to cut it just like that and tie these two together. So that was the beginning and then the end piece. And if you've got someone with you, have them put their finger there. Makes it much easier. Tie a knot just like that. Okay, and there's my front. All right, you'll notice that this was the shared one. Okay, and that's important because I'm going to use my shared one to start. And I'm going to use the blue yarn. And my blue yarn, to get it started, because you're going to be weaving around and around, is to kind of make a bit of a ball. And if I go around my 2 fingers, not too many times, maybe about 10 times or so, and then I cut it, it just makes it easier. I might need to go a couple bit more than 10, maybe 15. Okay, there we go. Now I'll cut it, and remember my double strand there. I am going to wrap the 2 strands together and pull it tight like that. Make a little knot. Yep, pull it tight. And I don't need to make a knot, just like that is fine. And I want to trim my end. And I can tuck it behind when I'm weaving, so it won't be very noticeable. But I move it to the center. Okay, it's in the center now. And for the first one, whoops, maybe I will make that knot. Let's try that again. Okay, now I've got my knot. It won't slide out this time. I trim my little end just like that. Try not to trim and the end and end up cutting the loom. So I slide it to the center, right in the middle, and I'm going to start going underneath and then up. And then I'm going to go up and over, up and over, up and over, around and around, and then as I pull it, it starts to kind of create like a web. And I want to remember, I want to tuck down my little knot. Okay, and there we go. There's my little knot. Need to tuck it down so it's not so noticeable. There we go. Okay, keep in mind, just kind of remember where you're at. If you make a mistake, no problem. You can just go back and weave it again. There's my double strand, and that's okay because I need an odd number. All right, so maybe as I go along a little bit, you're going to notice it's going to make a circle. And if it kind of adjust it a little bit if you need to so that it stays in the center. Otherwise, it will look a bit lopsided. And up and around. Okay, so now it's starting to make that circle shape. I'm just going to continue up and over. Yep. And there, it makes like a nice spiral. Just like that. And I'm going to continue around and around and around to the very, very edges. And that is part 1. And I'm going to continue with part 2 when I have my first one complete. And then you can see how it makes a coaster. All right, please join me for part 2.